and I would like
comment,
to, yeah.
and Mayor Brewer as well.
Briefly. You really heard your answer already, which is to raise the median income, we need more and better jobs. Now, how do we get there? Is it through a charter commission and another study? What I believe is we need a clear leader. We need a chief executive for this area to go out and to say to businesses, come here, your business will grow here, here's what's great about this area. And perhaps more importantly, let the businesses who are here know that they're going to be able to stay here and grow, and they're going to have the educated workforce and all the other cooperation they're going to need of a government getting out of its way so they can grow their businesses, do business, and create more and better jobs for the area.
Mayor Brewer. Just briefly, I believe that all politics is local, and not knowing that the County Department of Development is out there working with individual mayors is kind of alarming to me. But the reality is that it's going to require a lot of strong local leadership and probably a very intense look at some of the policies that drive businesses away from this particular marketplace. I had a chance to go to Matamoros, Mexico, and saw TRW, Delco, and Delphi down there paying Mexican workers $8 an hour. Some of our national policies have affected our ability to retain businesses in the state of Ohio. And so I think that we've got to take a very broad and comprehensive look at what's going on, but that is not something that the county CEO can do. It's something that we can do with the current form of government and with very enlightened leadership willing to work together.
Next question.
If there is indeed this need to rearrange or to reorganize the county government form, why are we talking about rearranging the county government offices and not looking at the city-county mergers as have occurred in Indianapolis or Louisville or some other cities?
It's a worthy question.
I'll take a fly at that one. I think there's a practicality to it. I think, you know, when these issues come up, they become divisive. I mean, I look. Yeah. I look around the room, and when one of us speaks, I see heads nodding, and when another one of us speaks, I see dirty looks. I mean, you know, and that's wrong. I mean, regardless, it's wrong, folks. That's not what we're here about. We're all here for the same thing. We want it to be a better region, regardless of what plan. There's no demons sitting up here that are crafting plans to make it worse for us. We just have a respectful disagreement on how we're going to get there. And I think we should agree to disagree respectfully and try to make this issue productive no matter what happens. I think you have to take progress in steps. I've spent a lot of time trying to work on regionalization within cities. That's a very difficult step. It's difficult to give cities to give up services, to give up programs, to give up territory. If you tried, I think, in Cuyahoga County to start by saying, let's just eliminate all the cities and make it a metro government, I think what you see now would be magnified by about 1 million times because you've got issues of economics, you've got issues of schools that change dramatically. And I would hope that if we could reform our county government, that we could reform it in a way that it would become the springboard for many other good things to happen from a government standpoint. We have too much government in Cuyahoga County, no matter what. I mean, we have 57 municipalities. We spend $3 billion on local government in here. We have a whole cottage industry all by ourselves. So,
let's take another question.
My name is Thomas Kelly. I am the director of the Citizens Reform Association and the spokesman for the Citizens Reform Slate, which has joined the other slate. We call it the Commissioner's Own Slate on the Charter Commission ballot in November. And I'd just like to say to Harriet Applegate, Harriet, we've never met, but we've been quoted in tandem so often recently, I feel like we're old friends. So, I just have a question for Harriet Applegate. You know, with the strong possibility of passage of both proposals, why would your slate start their campaign with a pledge that seems to me to ignore the will of the people and pretend that the new county charter, which may pass, doesn't exist, and forge ahead with a plan to reinvent the wheel and create another new charter that will go before the voters next year, when the law says that Charter Commission can just amend an existing charter? I'd just like you to explain that to me.
Well, I'm not sure exactly where you're going with that. If you're saying that I think you start off by saying if both were to pass, you know, it remains to be seen how that would work if the review commission could amend the new charter or the old charter. I mean, I think that's an open question that none of us knows the answers to right now. But I'm not sure if that was your question, but is that what you were getting at?
I do think it's clear in the law that. Can I ask?
Yeah, but speak up so that everybody can hear you, please. We'll get a microphone over there.
The mic lady walked away.
I do think it's clear in the law that that charter commission has the authority to create a new charter if there is none. But if there is one, their role would be limited to simply amending that charter. And your slate has promised to create a whole new charter no matter what. And that was my question.
I see.
Is
Okay.
that accurate?
The thrust of what we were committing to is that we were attacked as saying this is just a delaying tactic, and so we wanted to be clear that this wasn't just to delay the process and to not address the problems that we have. This is a real effort, real reform effort, and so it isn't designed so much to say we're going to amend or create a new one or throw out. We want an open process, a process that looks at what we've got, looks at the other proposals. It could be. I mean, it could happen that we would, adopt many of the provisions of the current one, or not.
Wouldn't that be ironic?
It would be ironic.
Would you at least owe me dinner at that point?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Rob, you wanted to get in.
Well, if I can, and the question and the response give me an opportunity to say what I want to say before about process. This idea that there wasn't enough engagement and involvement in the process, and I was glad we heard Harriet Applegate acknowledge being invited to the table, and not so much of the when, but by Congresswoman Marcia Fudge. And there were people, a broad and diverse group of leaders who were involved in this process. And I guess Senator Nina Turner put it best in an op-ed piece she wrote for the Plain Dealer when she recently said, quote, "Their energies would have been much more productive at the discussion table had they accepted the invitation to participate."
Okay, let's take another question.
I'll ask this to Harriet Applegate, but I'll accept anybody else's comments. Harriet, how can we citizens take your Real Reform Done Right committee's motives seriously when virtually all of the members of your committee have been close political allies with the current county commissioners and county office holders? Don't you and your committee have an overpowering vested interest to protect your buddies currently in office?
I could say resoundingly no. It isn't. These are not.
Sir, let's hear from Harriet Applegate. Thank you.
First of all, buddies is hardly the word. There are many members of the commission of our slate had never met each other. Many of them hadn't, and to characterize us as buddies of the current commissioners is just wrong. It's false. It's just not right.
Okay, next question.
Hi, my name is Joe Amschler. I'm the president of the Greater Cleveland Young Republicans, and thank you all for taking the time out with us. My question is actually, Harriet, you're the most popular person in town, apparently. You said earlier that there is currently checks and balances in the county government. As far as I can see, the FBI is not listed anywhere in the county charter, and they seem to me to be the only checks and balances we've seen in years in this government. So how would you respond to that?
Well, I think that currently one check and balance you have is 3 commissioners. Now, I'm not defending the current, but that is a check and a balance. You have, and I don't want to defend the status quo necessarily, but 3 people is a check and balance. I think it's superior to 1 under the 2 proposals. If you compare that, that's a check and balance right there. But even some of the independence of the row offices, which there's lots of things to say for and many more to say against, but they're independent, and there is and for instance in the county. I think it's the County Board of Revision. The 3 commissioners sit on there, and then there's an auditor. I think the auditor. There are several. So if you have under the county executive that person who appoints all these people, these boards of revision would end up, totally one person. So I think that if you look at the current system and you compare and you try to see what would happen under the new system, you see some checks and balances disappearing. So I think even in the current system there are checks and balances.